Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this special edition of the Game Changer Podcast. I am NateFNGreat, the paladin of positivity and the future of what will be the wrestling show, guys. Shout out to them because I've been working them for so long, and their next episode for the new season is coming up. Definitely don't want to miss out on that, but not going to talk about that a little bit later on. I'm going to introduce my guest here at this time. He is the ambassador of Canada, the symphony of the bacon. Okay, that's a bad way to put it. He is from Wrestle Addict Radio. He is one of my good friends in wrestling. He is the one and only Mr. Fretz.
Hello, my friend. We'll meet again. It's been a while. Where should we begin? Just like old times, Nate. Shout out to Game with Anthony DeStefano for that butt rock. Big love to his family. It's been a rough go for him lately, but bro, it's good to be back. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing, man?
Just got off work. I got the ball game on mute because nothing else is on TV right now, and you know me, I'm just working my tail off with my job and with the podcasting. It's all good.
You know, it is funny. At the time that we're recording this, it's about 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, which means that it's got to be 9 p.m. Your time. We're saying nothing's on. Yes, we do mean nothing is on. Nothing special going on Monday nights anymore. Nothing at all.
I don't get the station Monday Night Raw's on. Had I not been on Skype here, I would have been finding a stream, maybe. Maybe. Or recording stuff, who knows?
That's fair enough. Fair enough. So, we actually were going to do this last week, but unfortunately due to conflicts on my end, we had to push it towards this week, so we have a lot that we could talk about. I mean, geez Louise, the last 2 weeks since Wrestlemania season have definitely been very eventful, to say the least.
Yeah, you're not kidding. WrestleMania itself, I mean, we can start there, was, you know, top to bottom was a very good show. I mean, even the weeks, might as well have been a month, but the days before that, we had NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver and NXT UK Prelude, which was just another word for a special UK event. But man, Walter must have been traveling through a Kessel Run or something to get from Florida to the UK in less than 24 hours. So that was fun, but yeah, the whole thing was great. Like Walter put on one of my favorite matches of the week against Ciampa, and then another good one against Rampage Brown. Kyle O'Reilly stole the show, like Cesaro and Seth Rollins. Like, how many times are we going to see that friggin' UFO? Everyone forgets. He pulled off the UFO in a WrestleMania match, pre-show, last year against Drew Gulak.
I remember that, and that was just awesome to see that again. I actually do want to talk a little bit about Walter, because I do recall that during this whole WrestleMania week deal, that Walter got his NXT UK Championship back. Some guy actually found the actual championship that was left behind in Chicago, and the guy actually said, hey, can you just give me the information so I could send it back? Sent it back to him, and then he actually got a replica belt from the NXT UK Championship Committee, and it was one of those things where it's like, dude, no good deed goes unpunished. At least there's some good in this world.
That might as well have been on. We were talking off air about the A&E documentaries. There's also another show that's been going on after the docs. Was it Wrestling's Greatest Treasures with Stephanie McMahon and Triple H, looking for, say, for example, last night, Kane's original mask from his debut, of which you and I covered in Game Changers Past. If you check the archive, good shit there, pal. And they were looking for, like, Mankind's OG mask, Taker's purple gear. It's just stuff that disappears, and then some guy wins it in an auction or finds it on, like, Storage Wars or some shit, but oh man, it's fun. I love hearing stories about that, because wasn't it the day didn't it disappear the day he beat Pete Dunne for the title, basically?
It had to have been like, it was either that or it was a couple months after that. I can't remember exactly the date of that, but I just remember hearing that report. And it was one of those things where I'm just like, oh boy, somebody got lucky with a nice championship belt. And then when I saw somebody return it, I'm like, hey, there's good people in this world.
If it was Chicago, it would have been his first title defense. I think that was Tyler Bate. Both barn burner matches, by the way. Holy shnikes. And it's a miracle that Walter would not have found that person and chopped him into dust.
Oh, God. Walter's chops. Just no thank you. I already got chops from Backwoods Brown, and that was just brutal in and of itself.
That sounds brutal. I've seen Backwoods Brown. He's a big boy.
He is a big, beefy boy. Also one of the nicest guys I think I've met. But, so I did a video, for those of you that are kind of wondering what I'm talking about, where a few years ago I did like 7 to 8 people gave me chops across the chest all in a row. So I've been kind of like revitalizing and bringing that back. First one up was Backwoods Brown, who is massive, and I look at his hand compared to mine, it literally just looks like a giant frying pan compared to my hand. And oh boy, did one with the shirt on, one with the shirt off, and also Gavin McCoy, Ben McCoy's kid. Shout out to the McCoys because they are absolutely awesome. He also gave me a chop, and that was kind of a nice little take a shot full circle moment because he was in the original video as well. It was
my lord!
I know, how time flies, and how much better he got with those chops. I think I remember saying that in the first video he was one of the worst that I remember taking from that, and same thing happened with him again. And my chest was definitely sore for at least 3 to 5 days, I would say.
At least you weren't taking slaps from Jenna Maraska, so you're all right.
That's fair. No, that is totally fair. And plus I got to talk to Finn Balor about it, which was awesome.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, lucky prick. You met 2 halves of the Bullet Club in 1 week.
And I got a 2 sweet from both of them, which I'm totally happy for. And it's just like, I think that's my bucket list. I think I can just die happy as a wrestling fan.
The only one that's for me is, we've talked about this, but I was like that close to meeting Taker if A, they didn't have a show in Saudi, and B, Goldberg didn't drop him on his effing head.
Yeah, less we talk about Goldberg, the better, I think.
Yeah, you can go on Wrestle Addict Radio Patreon for that one. Hey, cheap plug.
Hey! But I didn't actually watch WrestleMania this past weekend, which, in all honesty, is a bit of a shock because I'm usually like super psyched and super hyped for WrestleMania. This time around, with everything that has gone down with, the releases and with the backstories and with everything that's been going on with WWE, it felt tainted for me. And I've heard a lot of positive things about WrestleMania, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like, you did so much to taint this for me that I can't, in all honesty, take money, buy the Peacock network, which is stupid to begin with. They shouldn't have done that anyway, and watch the show. I was able to do it last year because they had some really, really good matches. Even some of like the slower middle matches were actually pretty good. That was the first time we got the Firefly Funhouse, which is still one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time. I will fight anybody to that. Yeah, this one was just rough to watch. Plus, I don't think I could have bared to see Randy Orton bury Bray Wyatt again.
So that night 2, I was tasked with, well, actually I said I would, live tweet through Wrestle Addict Radio's account for that. And, that first match soured me for a bit, but then the rest of the matches picked up. Like, I forget the order of the show by now. By the time we got to, like, Big E versus Apollo Crews and Matt Riddle versus Sheamus, just, those 2 big, beefy lads taking lumps out of each other. I like a good meat man slapping meat match, and I'm going to get to that in this indie show that I have to talk about. Yeah, Fretz is talking about an indie show. That's something new. Despite the fact our country's shut down and on fire, I managed to squeeze one in that Wrestle Addict Radio actually sponsored, but we'll get to that. And yeah, the Fiend thing was very confusing. I mean, I liked the entrance. I liked the whole Jack in the Box thing, and okay. Then Alexa Bliss is all covered in goo. And one thing I noticed is that Bray held out his heel hand, thinking, oh shit, something's wrong with Alexa. She OD'd on the goo, or she's too taken over by the darkness, or became Sister Abigail, except it's not a bearded man with a veil over his head. It's maybe you're the embodiment of Alexa. Then it's, oh no, I just used him because tee-hee, I'm a bitch. Okay. And then when I saw the Firefly Funhouse the next day, Bray Wyatt is just he's like Billy Graham. He's like Jimmy Swaggart. He's a preacher. You're gonna be preachers, and he's just like, hallelujah, Fragile Stay, da-da-da. And I'm looking at him in the eyes, I'm like, that man is this close to a psychotic break. He is going to snap. So something's gonna go there. Like, it's not right. He is not right in the head. And I'm saying that as a Christian too. And he's, oh, okay. Normally when I see those are the types of Christians that I'm just like, okay, back way. Awkward. But man, they forgot that Dabba-Kato existed because he came out during Apollo Crews' match to help him, and they're like, why the hell is Dabba-Kato going with the new, I'm Nigerian something Apollo Crews? Dabba-Kato's half Nigerian, so
nice.
So there's that. He's Nigerian and Polish. So now he's Commander Aziz, dressed up in like heel Sergeant Slaughter attire. With Cruz is doing some of the best work in his career. I'm loving his heel shtick, and now he's talking in his accent, which apparently is not fake, unlike Kofi's Jamaican. Matt Riddle and Sheamus. Oh, you said you didn't see any of that, right?
I know the results of it, but yeah, right. I didn't see any of it.
Okay, you probably saw the GIF if you were floating on Twitter. So Matt Riddle goes for a springboard moonsault, and just as he's connecting with it, Sheamus is ready with a brogue kick.
Oh yeah,
upside down, right in his lips, busted it open. Just a fierce thing. So now Sheamus has been bringing back the U.S. Open Challenge, and last week he beat the crap out of Humberto Carrillo. Yes, he's still employed, and oh my God, he is yoked, like, big time. Like, quarantine's been good to him. I want to, take up his advice, because gyms are closed in Canada, like everything else. Yeah, you close golf courses, you fucking morons. And, yeah, we can't play outside. Yeah, I'm not getting into that, but holy shit. I want to take up his gym thing. I got an ab roller down here, but that's not enough for me.
Yeah, I will say this, that seeing Dabba-Kato involved in that matchup was something that I was very happy for, because he was one of the top stars of Raw Underground, and he just kind of fell off the face of the earth. And then when he came out, it's just like, okay, no, I'm okay with it. At least they're giving him something. Oh, they're giving him a different name. You know what? It's probably better than Dabba-Kato, so again, I'm okay with this. Only one letter away from Akeem. Bring back Akeem. Sorry, that's that is something from
the African dream, the white African dream.
Oh my gosh, that was something that me and my friends were chanting during the Bound for Glory show a couple of years ago. It's just like a troll deal, but why not? Trust me, we're going to be talking about TNA too. But yeah, seeing a lot of the results and seeing, some of the new deals. I mean, AJ Styles, he's now a Grand Slam champion. Well deserved. Kind of wish he could have gotten a different partner, but at the same time, you got to make do with what you got. But it also proves that the tag team wrestling division in WWE is pretty much dead.
Except for NXT, because MSK, Grizzled Young Vets, and Legado del Fantasma, holy shit, that was good. Almost, I'm really digging Almost. Like, that, I was watching that match, and they were building up to Almost getting the hot tag. Like, AJ Styles played the babyface in peril, getting the Diesel hot tag. And we both know people that were at that show. Like, Wade was there. Shout out to Wade.
Yeah.
he went to WrestleMania, and Ricky was close to going, but it was just like, nothing happened. Like this time last year, Ricky couldn't go to anything because, well, he was in the hospital, so just didn't work out for him either. Would have been cool to get some live correspondence from Raw at Mania, but it was not to be. Almost everyone was just chanting for him, and based on the other people I know that were there, he was getting really big reactions. And when they finally tagged him in, oh man, just New Day selling. And speaking of selling, can we talk about Bad Bunny?
Why not?
Oh, okay. So I don't think we have spoken since Bad Bunny has made an appearance on WWE TV. His music is not my cup of tea. I don't like it one bit. I hate that song Booker T. I don't like his music. I hated the fact that he was there. But his WrestleMania match shut me up. It made me respect the hell out of him, because this is a man who, since the Royal Rumble, was at the PC every single day, training with Brian Kendrick, training with Drew Gulak, getting his shit in. A man who loves the business, who was selling. He knew how to do proper psychology. He played the babyface in... Yeah, he played the babyface in peril. He took more bumps than Damian Priest. Mind you, Damian Priest had been working through a back injury, and it was a miracle he was even on the show to begin with. But you hit a Canadian destroyer, and you're someone who's training a little bit to get in the biz. That move looks like it's easy to pull off, but it's a move that requires proper cooperation between two workers to pull off right. Like Petey Williams, he could do a Canadian destroyer on the Big Show if you get two people working right. And the Miz and more. I became a Miz fan throughout this whole feud. Just you better get Satan on the phone, because hell's frozen over, because I fucking love the Miz. I love him just because I hated Bad Bunny so much. Hey, hey, hop, hop was the best troll job ever in the WrestleMania entrance. I think they cloned Adam Rose's Bunny. Everyone was like, what is this shit? And I'm like, it's the best troll job ever. Come on. You don't understand.
You don't understand the way I'm feeling when bunnies hop in WrestleMania time.
Yes. And now I'm like, okay, now they're going to break up Miz and Morrison because, Jomo's playing third wheel because Maurice is back again.
Also, cheap plug to Miz and Mrs. Still one of my favorite reality shows. Just saying.
Yeah, I am not going to respond to that. Not my cup, but hey, to each of their own, right? But now they had this bit, they had this commercial, and it was Triple H handing Bad Bunny I don't know if it was like a scepter or something. So Bad Bunny stole Becky Lynch's truck from WrestleMania, the one you went to.
Oh, really?
As she came out in. Yeah, Bad Bunny came out on the top of the Mack truck and came out to that song, and he won with Damian Priest had the Miz up for the Doomsday device, and then off comes Bad Bunny with a flying crossbody, bang. And the professionalism by Miz to put him through that match and to sell his ass off for someone who trained for 3 months to do one match. And next year his world tour is already sold out.
Well, there you go. And hey, what a damn good 3 months it was, because the fact of the matter was that they literally, that he was one of the highlights of the show from what I've heard. One of the best celebrity, I guess you could say, matches that WWE has had in almost forever, I would say. Probably not since Mr. T and Roddy Piper they had something that big. Oh,
that was bad, though.
Well, I'm not talking about WrestleMania 2. I'm talking about WrestleMania 1. So, the initial
that was also good. That apparently almost didn't happen, because I think somebody, I think it was Mr. T, had butterflies or something, but they talked him off the hill. So, WrestleMania 2 is the worst of all time. It's worse than 9. So, ugh. Well, Roddy, they even talked about that in Piper's documentary last night. It brought a tear to my eye, that whole thing. Oh.
Well, also, a main event was King Kong Bundy versus Hogan in a cage match, which, okay, sure. just
should have been good. but it wasn't.
No.
But it had the British Bulldogs winning the tag titles. So
that's fair. That is fair. Yeah, from what I've seen, a lot of people definitely had high praises for Bianca versus Sasha. Definitely earned that, spots to headline night one, main event night one. And, they made history. That's what matters. Also, Sasha Banks' record is still dwindling down, unfortunately, as far as WrestleMania matches go.
Poor thing. It's very monumental. It's like the first time that two black women have main evented WrestleMania. I think it's the first time two black women have main evented like a wrestling pay-per-view itself. So that was huge. And I was watching Bianca. Like this whole build, I've come full circle on her to love Bianca Belair for one reason. Now we went through this in Game Changers Past where she did the hair whip spot, and I'm like, don't do that every match because I hate it, and I think someone in the head office didn't like it either. So she brought it out for a special occasion here and left a welt on Sasha. Poor thing. Oh man, but that match was so good. And to finally see Bianca get that crowning moment that we've been waiting for a long time. I know people like Nicholas Giacobi, shout out to him, formerly of Who Got Next, who I think he is in Full Sail, or he's interning there, or he went there or something. But I've watched him become a fan of her the whole time. You could see him in old NXTs. Him and Izzy are like dancing to her entrance theme in the background in old school episodes. You can see it. It's there. Great crowning achievement. Loved it.
Yeah, and then had the second night main event, which was that triple threat match for the Universal Championship. Honestly, there's a part of me that saw like the jokes that have come out from it where, Roman Reigns is pinning both Edge and Daniel Bryan, where in reality it looks like Edge is pinning Daniel Bryan, and people are saying, no, Edge should be the Universal Champion. It's like, that would be an amazing way to get Edge back into the picture, is just have that claim that, he's the one who pinned Daniel Bryan. Honestly, that would definitely be a game-changing WrestleMania highlight if they did capitalize on that. That would be interesting. I'd pay money to see that.
Oh, I would love that. That would be such a rated R superstar thing to do too. And what I loved about that is that Edge broke out the concerto, and then it ended up being Roman who pinned both of them at the same time, following concertos of his own. It was just a chef's kiss, perfect douchebag moment. And Roman Reigns returning to WrestleMania, his hometown, and gets booed. But booed proper. Because that man, this head of the table Roman Reigns, loving it. Like, loving his heel shtick. I'm loving the main event Jey Uso. Like, he won the Andre Battle Royal, which was relegated to SmackDown. It was very entertaining, like, as Battle Royals go. But, man, their whole shtick, that would be great. Although right now it looks like, based on watching SmackDown, that Cesaro is in line for a title shot. However, Cesaro still has a nagging Seth Rollins to get rid of before he can take on Roman. So that would be a good transition right now to put Edge in there. This week on SmackDown, Daniel Bryan has one last shot. And if he loses, he's banned from SmackDown. So I guess that would have him go to his part-time schedule that he's been wanting to go to for a while. His contract's up in September, so that's another thing. And maybe we can see him on Raw. Hell, Daniel Bryan to NXT. Give me like Daniel Bryan versus Cameron Grimes, because I love Cameron Grimes, but I want to see him get kicked in the face. It would just be very... Because right now he's got a mini feud with Ted. He's going to get a feud with Ted DiBiase.
Yay! Oh, can we get Ted DiBiase Jr. back? Maybe. I'll take it.
Oh, I think he's in deep doo-doo, that one. No, that's his brother. Never mind.
Yeah.
It would be good, too. Yeah. Ted Jr.
Ted Jr. is the good apple, at least from what I've heard. But,
that'd be good.
But anyway.
Bring back the $1 million belt. Get Virgil in there, because why not? Virgil is at WrestleMania, so, it could happen.
He was probably at the WrestleCon deal at his lonely booth or something like that. I know that's mean to say, but at the same time, the picture was there. I saw it. It was funny. Just literally a Virgil.
I think Wade saw him.
He saw him. Just said hi.
He's like, yo, Virgil's here. I'm like, oh my, he was in the audience. Like,
yay, Virgil.
I love Virgil.
But,
he's awesome.
Oh my gosh. So let's go from talking about WrestleMania to something that both of us kind of were interested in talking about, and something that I've definitely talked about in past. Some independent wrestling. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I got 2 events to share, but I definitely do want to hear this indie event that you wanted to talk about, Mr. Fretz, because you seem pretty hyped about it. So I'm very curious.
I was. So on Wrestle Addict Radio, King Ricky, our wonderful general manager, gave us this opportunity. He says, hey, there's a wrestling company that reached out to us and wants to sponsor, and I'm just like, at first I didn't know what to think, what it entailed. I'm like, I'll go along with you guys, sure, I'll do it. It's like, who wants to sponsor a match? Yeah, okay. I didn't know, and then as weeks went on, and it's like, okay, so they're going to have this deal on independentwrestling.tv. It's like a WWE network, but of several different, like Game Changer Wrestling's on there, like Limitless Wrestling, which is the one that we sponsored, and so we got to do matches on the show. Kings of the Rings did the main event, and I'm actually going to go through the card here, and stop me if you know some of these names. Limitless Wrestling is out of Maine, and their event was called Double or Nothing. It featured the last indie appearance of Christian Casanova, who was recently signed by NXT. Christian Casanova being the Limitless Wrestling champion at the time in the main event. Now we have the pre-show, which was Love Doug versus Mac Daniels, accompanied by John Alba, the main attraction, Mac Daniels in the main attraction challenge. Love Doug is kind of like your Effie kind of gimmick, if you know who Effie is. He's exactly like that, and Mac Daniels won. John Alba's just a total shit disturber. He's a voice on Limitless Wrestling's podcast, and he just likes to twist the knife and just poke the bear a little bit. He's kind of like me. He likes to be a dick. The first show match was sponsored by Mr. YLP. Myron Reed versus Alec Price was a very, very good match. Alec Price won this with a kind of a roll-up deal here. And throughout the show, they had live QR codes during the show where you can like press pause and go to their virtual merch table. They also had like Spotify playlists, which were entrance themes done by some of the wrestlers. So we had a 3-way match between Charles Mason, the root of all evil. He looks like if Pete Dunne was a evil Ted DiBiase. Like he's that kind of gimmick. Versus Cashflow Ken Broadway and a returning Kevin Blackwood, who had been conspicuous by his absence in the wrestling industry for a while. Blackwood wins here with this modified STF, and Charles Mason, evil guy, is just like peering from the turnbuckle while it happens, kind of being like Emperor Palpatine, like, good. Because Blackwood, he's a babyface of all babyfaces in Maine, but he was getting a little bit effed in the head here, getting a little bit maybe heelish. And this man calls himself a self-made savage, and after a 5-year absence, as I said, he won here, and afterwards Kevin Blackwood's like, I ain't mad, but hey, what's with you, Mason, blah, blah, blah. And Marie Shadows, someone I don't know if you know who this person is, presents the Real Catch, Ashley Vox, who was recently on AEW Dark, against Becca. How can I describe Becca? If babyface Bailey was a delusional heel, like bubbly Bailey, she's like this. She calls her fans Scrunchy Squad because she wears a whole whack of scrunchies and uses it in her gimmick and in her match. She actually did this arm trap deal where she trapped Ashley's like cuffed Ashley's hands in a scrunchie, and then one with like a wheel kick. And afterwards, there's it's like, oh yeah, Scrunchie Squad wins again. And Ashley Vox is like, who's in Scrunchie Squad? Give me a name. No one likes scrunchies. I'm like, oh yeah, they did when I was in high school. And here's my match that was sponsored by yours truly, and I became a fan of this guy, Big Beef Gnarls Garvin versus Tyree Taylor. And Big Beef, he reminds me a lot of Trevor Murdoch. I mean, he's a big dude from Champions Trailer Park in Louisville, Kentucky. The second he comes out to the ring, he's flipping everyone the bird. Like, okay, I love this guy. I literally bought his shirt. So that's how much I love Big Beef. He's a big dude, and Tyree Taylor, another big, beefy guy. So this was a meaty men slapping meat, and there was this wicked belly-to-belly into the corner spot by Beef that looked vicious. Like, friggin' Tyree landed right on his head. And Beef won. He had Tyree in the 619 position, and instead of doing, like, flip dropkick, he just went and just big splashed him right in the back. The Beefy Bomb. Actually, Pro Wrestling Tees sent me the wrong Big Beef t-shirt, so they're sending me the one I actually wanted for free.
Nice.
Yeah, so, yeah, I want to meet this dude or interview this dude, because Beef is, he's fun. And Tyree Taylor here was kind of heartbroken. He was kind of sad in his post-match. And he's saying through this, I've been too nice, and then just pushes down this young man who was both the backstage reporter and the ring announcer. He looked a little bit like you, now that I think of it. So Fogbreaker Studios presents Rob Killjoy of the Ugly Ducklings versus Rip Bison. Rip Bison's like a big, like Rampage Brown Miro kind of guy. And he's half of this tag team called the Ugly Ducklings, and before he did this, running in the corner spot move, he's like, let's get dangerous. Oh, get in. Darkwing Duck reference. I love this guy. Rip Bison killed him. Just killed him. Nice. With like a Dr. Bomb. Bison hit a Hurricane Rana. Like Miro-sized guy hitting a Rana on a guy probably the size of Jay Briscoe. Maybe smaller. Then he hits like a torture rack into like a jackhammer or something, and then finally, mercifully, a lariat. The How to Fall podcast sponsors Ava Everett versus Devine. These are two ladies who used to be tag team partners. Swerve Bro, there was a whole bunch of dissension and jealousy and turning on the whole thing, and I believe Ava Everett, the heel, won this match. A three-way tag team contest here with How to Fall podcast and Fogbreaker sponsoring. Yeah, you get the deals here with this company is you can sponsor like one match. Like the next one they have is like a whole bunch of people. Hey, you want to sponsor us? Hit this. The competition versus the kids versus the Main Street Posse. No, the Main Street Posse, not Joey Abs. But these guys were cool. The competition, they're like your high school jocks, basketball player, douchebags, getting the win here. I just heard an error message. I hope that wasn't from my computer. I'm just going to... Abdobi... Okay, I wasn't opening Abdobi ADF. That's weird. And
damn you, technology!
Yeah, I know. Oh, man. I thought we were already lagging here. The main event for the Limitless Wrestling Championship was Christian Casanova versus Daniel Garcia, sponsored by the Kings of the Rings podcast. And this was a show stealer. Like, Beef and Tyree, I thought that was match of the night. Not just because that was my match, but because it was just so good for two beefy, agile men. But there was a lot of false finishes here, a lot of, I hit my finisher 3 times and you still kick out deal. Aforementioned that this is Casanova's last match on the Indies. He's an NXT signee. He went right to the PC. Daniel Garcia won the Limitless Championship, and Casanova got a send-off because there were fans there. This was at a very small venue, not unlike the ones that are at your shows, there's maybe like a dozen or 24 people there, and Casanova got the send-off, got the on the turnbuckle, the respect, and the goodbye.
Man.
And I want to do this again. I want to sponsor another indie event, because God knows how long it's going to be before I can actually go see something up here. But it was fun. I was watching on IWTV. It's $10 a month, so you get a whole shit ton of indie wrestling. I subbed just for the month because I have several other streaming services, half of which I'm not even watching, half of which I just have for my niece and nephew to watch Disney Plus. I want to watch The Mighty Ducks, but I haven't gotten to it yet, the new show. But it was so much fun, and it felt like I was there, and a lot of the roster followed me on Twitter, so they gave the network here a little bit of a, there goes my computer again, a bit of a boost. It was awesome.
Nice. I definitely will have to take a look at that, because love independent wrestling, love the chance to, support that. And honestly, when it comes down to it, two places that I love supporting here in Wisconsin have been Frontline Pro as well as ACW Wisconsin. They had a Wrestlemania show that, well, actually, no. Frontline Pro did the show they had to post. I think they had to postpone. No. ACW had to move forward. With Frontline, I think it was before WrestleMania, they had a really good show in which they had a lot of great talents. A couple of notable ones have been Backwoods Brown winning a multi-man match to be the number one contender for the Frontline Pro Heavyweight title. And it also saw the return, in my recent expectation, of Logan Lynch, who I keep joking about the fact looks like a modern-day Steve Blackman. There we go.
Either one.
Because he comes out with black pants and boots, black gloves. He's got this kind of almost like I wouldn't say like the bulletproof jacket, but kind of like the commando jacket. There we go. And then I just see him, and I just start doing like Steve Blackman deals. And honestly, I'm not against the look. It's just how I remember most people is that Steve Blackman was the guy who just wore a lot of black, and he looked like a tough dude. Why not? I think it's a compliment, in all honesty. Steve Blackman, one of the most underrated people of all time, one of the most underrated hardcore champions of our time. I will definitely go that far. A couple other matches on here were Katie Forbes and Cal Hero defeating the team of Joey Avalon and Evil Sierra. I got the chance to do commentary for that, so that was nice. Also, Cal Hero's been doing really well in OVW, and he's also been doing a lot of stuff with TNA, Impact Wrestling. He's been kind of like one of the security guys back there. And it's just like, it's only a matter of time before I see him wrestling in a match. I want to see it. I want to see it so badly. It's one of those things, I'm just so happy for the guy. Some people might say, like, wouldn't you get a little jealous? Nah. This is a guy, he's a good kid. Always just a pleasure to talk to. Always a pleasure to just, get a chance to just see. And also, he rocks a freaking fanny pack. He has nothing. He has one of the best gimmicks of all time because he has a fanny pack. Fight me on that. Our boy, the one and only politically correct wrestler in all of professional wrestling, Coda Jacobs, retained his Frontline Pro Heavyweight Championship against Justin Dredd via nefarious means, actually, because it looked like he was going to get disqualified for hitting Justin Dredd with the sign, but it looked more like Justin Dredd hit him with the sign, so the DQ happened there. I'm like, no, ref, you were doing so good until this point. You were the smart one. You were the chosen one. And then you do this. Damn it.
I love Coda Jacobs.
Oh, my gosh. I still need to get him on the show. He is a gem in wrestling. I don't care what anyone says. And the fact that he has just continued to have this tan that looks like he went to a farm. And I guarantee you, if you ripped off his shirt, he would just have that farmer's tan going. Oh my gosh. Just Coda Jacobs is amazing. The main event of that show was Bulletproof Ben McCoy versus Rob Van Dam. Rob is just an awesome dude. And also, he's a Hall of Famer. He also was accompanied by Katie Forbes, his wife, as well as Bill Alfonso. Was not expecting Bill to show up for that.
What?
Yep, Bill Alfonso showed up to the show.
No way. I didn't know he was still alive.
He is, and he took a hell of a bump during that matchup because halfway through the matchup, they literally just said, hey, do you want to just make it a hardcore rules match? Ben's just like, okay. They just do it. So there's a spot where it looks like Bill Alfonso's going to go for like a splash from the top rope and send Ben McCoy through the table. But Ben McCoy, he gets up and he delivers a hell of a belly-to-belly suplex from the top rope through the table onto Bill Alfonso.
Ouch!
It was a bit of a rough spot, but Bill was fine. But that allowed RVD to pick up the advantage, hit the 5-star frog splash for the win. I was bummed. I was kind of hoping Ben would pick up the victory on that, but at the same time, I'm not mad about the match at all. One of the things I loved about it was the fact that Honor Bound was one of the big events that got affected by COVID, so just seeing everybody, and the entire roster went out to the ring, and they were just, hugging Ben. They were just congratulating him. They had him up on his shoulders. Ben is just delivering this emotional speech about how he was thankful that everybody could come, thankful that, we were able to put on that kind of show, thankful for everybody that put up with, everything that he probably put everybody through, because he's running a wrestling promotion. It's not one of the easiest jobs in the world. I can tell you that right now. But he just absolutely killed it. And also, I made a challenge to one of my friends, AJ Jensen. AJ, if you're listening to this, I'm coming for you. Come later this year. Because there was karaoke at the bar, and I missed it. Because I think I had to go home and get rested up for work. So I said to AJ, next time it comes around, you and me karaoke battle. He's like, bring it on. So I may even, in fact, have a special made item for this, because maybe it could be something that could be worth fighting over, because why not? Let's have some fun in this state. Just speculating, just theorizing. Maybe something will come out of it. Maybe not. Who knows? More than likely something will come out of it. Let's face it. The other show was ACW's Water City Wrestling Con, in which so many great matches on here. Drake Daniels, a.k.a. Brock Lesnar Jr., as I like to call him, because he just suplexes everyone out of their boots, won the Jim Murphy Memorial Battle Royal, where he won a check for $5,000, which, I love that kind of money. Salem Crane defeated Mason Miles. Swoggle defeated, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember the guy. He was the guy who played MJF's lawyer. Oh, God. I'm trying to remember what the hell his name was. Mark Sterling. There we go. He was that smart Mark Sterling. Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God.
Yes.
That's good.
It was good. He probably got one of the most heel-heated boos in the entire show, and I loved it. There was a 6-man tag where it had Matt Cardona and Brian Myers teaming up with Joey Avalon, taking on the team of TW3, Colin Brooks, and Brock Hall, the Disregarded, as they like to call themselves. And because of the heat between Brian Myers and Joey Avalon, we unfortunately saw Disregarded pick up the victory. Disregarded is basically Shield, Retribution, done like they're meshed together, but Retribution side done right. That's the way I can really describe it. And what a shock, because after Disregard won, they beat down Cardona, Myers, and Avalon, and out would come the one and only Maven of all people to hit a... Yes. Yes, you heard me right. It was one of those things where...
somebody alert Apron Bump. Get Apron Bump on. Get R.A. What's his name? Michael from the R.A. Era podcast, the UK Ruthless Pod, because they have this obsession with Maven.
So I'll definitely have to tag them once I get that. Actually, I think I have that picture up on Twitter, so I'll definitely have to tag both of them in that. Yeah, he came in, and it's really cool to see. He's a really nice guy. Here's a really, really funny story. I was with the guy who I recently just added on Facebook, David, I believe his name was. And he and I were in line to do pictures with everybody that was there. Heath Slater was even at the show, which was a shock.
Wasn't he just in surgery?
Yeah, because he was definitely walking with a limp. So he definitely he had some kind of injury going on, but damn.
He had knee surgery or something, because he was supposed to be, I don't know if he was supposed to be at Rebellion or Hardcore Justice, because, they've done a couple of shows recently.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he win his job in Impact, on a battle royal with Rhino, and then Rhino turned on him?
Yes.
So I've been watching Impact and getting a little bit of my Impact fix, but I haven't been watching by watching J-Bone's podcasts on YouTube. Shout out to Smash This Podcast.
Hey.
Yeah.
But yeah, with... Oh, God, where was I going in? Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's Slayer's job. And then when I got the chance to see Maven, he was a really cool, very mellow dude. David, the guy that I was talking with, and I helped, take a couple pictures for him as well. He literally gave Maven his Superman ring, and this was the funniest part about it, was that Maven thought it was the coolest thing, and he tried so hard to give it back to David, and he was like, no, keep it. It's one of those things where, it was it was amazing. At the end of it all, Maven was just literally like, dude, this is so cool. Thank you so much, dude. This is really, really great. He didn't want the ring. He definitely did not want the ring, but, persistency is the key to most things, unless... I'm not even going in not in that direction. But that was just a cool moment, seeing that. And finally getting the chance to meet Matt Cardona in person. Woo woo. I'm a bro, man. That was just awesome. Some of the other matches here. I'm trying to remember as many of these matches as I can. Had the Curse taking on Pornstash Peter Swans, as well as Wild and Randy, my bros. Always love seeing those guys. I always love talking about Wild and Randy, because they're not only my favorite tag team here in the state, but honestly, I think here in the Midwest, it's very hard to even just have it's just really great talking to them. And they're always very warm-hearted and just always great to be like, oh, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Thank you so much for supporting us, everything like that. It was absolutely great. I think I was one of the first few people to get one of Randy Fitzsimmons' new shirts, which I still got to get that, by the way. It's really awesome. It's just absolutely amazing. But yeah, the Pornstash Pierce Swans and I'm blanking out now. And Wild and Randy defeated the Curse, which honestly Skits is one of the best characters going on right now. So definitely, if you get a chance to see it, enjoy it. It's great. One thing that was a bit of a disappointment was there was supposed to be a three-way matchup between three women. It was supposed to be Evil Sierra, Stacey Shadows, and Tenille Dashwoods. Unfortunately, Stacey Shadows suffered a injury that forced her out of the matchup, so it turned into a one-on-one match between Evil Sierra and Tenille Dashwoods. And honestly, Sierra is so good. She is an absolute amazing wrestler in the ring, and she is also a heat magnet. Oh my gosh, just everything she did in this matchup. Even during the matchup, she did this twice. She did Tenille's former gimmick where she was doing like the Emma kind of dance.
Yes! Oh, what a bitch.
Oh, it was great. It was one of the things where I'm like, yes, she's amazing. I even complimented her. I'm like, yes, thank you so much for doing that. That's great. But Tenille Dashwood picked up the victory, which would make sense now because that led into momentum going into Rebellion, which I'm going to talk about that. Oh my goodness, that's going to be an interesting show to talk about. Main event was Adam Grace versus Nick Calucci for the ACW Heavyweight title, but it went from a singles match to a triple threat because Drake Daniels, the guy who won the Battle Royal earlier in the night, also had this All-Star trophy, which basically works like Money in the Bank, where he basically cashes in a title opportunity whenever he wants. Halfway through the singles match, he's like, here you go. I'm inserting myself into this. Needless to say, that was not his best decision because Adam Grace retained the championship. I am hoping that we get a rematch between Adam Grace and Nick Calucci because that was really good. I really want to see more of that. All in all, Water City Wrestling Con was great. Getting the chance to support, indie wrestling is just an absolute phenomenon. in and of itself, it's just absolutely wonderful getting the chance to see just to see everybody. It's great. And, all the meet and greets get the chance to do is always fun. Get the chance to thank anybody that, you've seen for a while. I mean, getting the chance to meet Rob Van Dam and Matt Cardona was definitely like the highlight of the month. So it's one of those things where it's like, I'm going to be happy for like a few months right now, up until SummerSlam, because then I'm sure a meet and greet's going to come up where I'm going to meet somebody and be like, yes, I love talking to these guys, which I'll give you guys my thoughts on the meet and greets as far as WWE goes. There's people, I've had my friends actually say to me that, 2 minutes is not enough. 2 minutes seems like it's a ripoff just for the money that you pay for it. In all honesty, guys, maybe, but at the same time, I'm not complaining. I got to talk to Finn Balor and AJ Styles for 2 minutes regardless, and I got to tell them thank you for everything that they did. Thank you for, putting their bodies on the line, getting to talk a little bit about some of their work, just absolutely just great. I mean, hearing the story about Finn Balor and how he, on instinct, was able to pop his shoulder back into his socket was just amazing. And even hearing about he had a similar injury when he was like 20, just, oh my God, that was insane. Which, in all honesty, those meet and greets have gotten some really good views on the YouTube. So if you want to get a chance to see that, just basically type in the Finn Balor or AJ Styles meet and greet, and you're going to find it there. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how it was. But, I mean, 2 minutes, yeah, seems a little bit rushed. But at the same time, when you go to an actual meet and greet, I'm sure, especially in WWE, you're probably going to get less time than that. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it's a double-edged sword. You're probably getting like 30 seconds if you're doing it in person. 2 minutes. 2 minutes with the video. I'll take it.
No, because I am looking at my pictures here on my wall. Like, the professional meet and greets at, like, the ones I got at Comic-Con, the ones where you have to go to, like, a separate thing and not their booth. Like, let's say, for example, when I got to meet the late, great Rogue Warrior Animal, I talked to him for a good couple of minutes. I talked to Brutus Beefcake for a good couple of minutes. Lanny Poffo, the genius, maybe about a minute and a half. We were just chilling. We were just shooting the shit. But these professional photo shoots, they're like seconds. Like, I have Christopher Lloyd with the DeLorean. It was a couple of seconds. I got cast members from The Office. I got, Lita, Trish, people from Clerks, people from Guardians of the Galaxy movies, Big Show, Flair. When I met Big Show and Flair, I was so damn, I don't want to say intimidated, but I was just so starstruck. I couldn't say anything then, thank you, bye. Then I go away like, stupid. I should have said something like this. I didn't want to be every dick and say woo to Ric Flair because, 50 years? Woo. You'd get sick of it.
Oh, yeah.
Or Big Show, I just went like, oh, you're huge. And then, but Trish, I walked in with Big Goldie there, and Trish is like, hi, champ. I'm like, oh my gosh. I need an adult. Or it's like, oh dear God, I'm going through puberty again. Wait, that was Sable and Sonny. Anyways.
Oh my God, that's great. It was basically the same thing with me and Kevin Nash. Like I said, first time meeting him and Scott Hall, I felt like my tongue just swelled, and I was like, then when I met Sean Waltman, I was finally able to say hi. So I definitely know exactly where you're coming from with that. Speaking of Kevin Nash, he was a guest for meet and greets at the show. The problem was that so many people missed out on him. I think that it was just a situation where I'm not trying to be mean when it comes to this, but I think this might be my only criticism when it comes to wrestling kind of deal. I think that the setup and layout where they had the meet and greets and stuff like that could probably have been handled a little bit better. Could have been definitely a different way that they could have had that set up where people maybe wouldn't have been confused. Because literally it was a situation where the meet and greet happened was basically fans were going all the way back, but it was heading towards the entryway. So people were already confused about where do we get our tickets? Where do we get the line for this? Where do we get the line for this? It's like, I get it. It was just a bit of a mess. So I think it would made more sense to have maybe like extra security guys being like, okay, hey, are you going in for tickets or are you going to see Kevin Nash? They see Kevin Nash, go this way. So want to see Boogeyman? Go this way. Want to see, who was the other one that had there? I think Tenille Dashwood was in that spot too. Yeah. If they would have had like a little more direction with it, I think it would have been fine. Kind of like how regular, comic book conventions and stuff like that usually have it, where it's like, okay, this is where this person's going to be. This is where this person's going to be. This is where the line starts. Have it kind of like that. That's just like I said, it's a little nitpick. That's just my opinion, in all honesty. And I will say this, that I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get a chance to meet Boogeyman, because I really wanted to, and just send a picture where I could tag Will and be like, it's your favorite wrestler, Willie T.
Oh, I would have loved to see that.
Oh, man, I missed such a great opportunity. But I took a picture with Tenille Dashwood, and I'm going to say this. It was one of those pictures where I didn't exactly feel anything. And I'm not trying to sound mean. It's just there's some people that you meet and you're just like, oh, man, this is great. You're going to feel excitement. You're going to feel joyousness to it. But then you just meet somebody and it's just kind of like, eh.
I had that. I'm not knocking this guy. I caught him he was having a bad day. But the same day I met Brutus Beefcake, his tag team partner, Greg the Hammer Valentine, was there.
Oh.
And I said, oh, hi, how are you? And it's like, I was asked, could I get a picture or something? And he was saying no. But he was nice enough to sign my Dream Team picture of Brutus and Greg. I just went away thinking, like, you know what? I'm not taking it personal. He was off. I could kind of tell it was just, you have those days. It's all right. Like Creed Bratton from The Office was polite enough, but I think I was a bit too starstruck for the cast of The Office, that being one of my favorite freaking shows of all time. It was Meredith, Oscar, and Creed. They were great. Like, Meredith was a sweetheart.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so going from that to talking about Rebellion, which I got the chance to watch with my friends Josh and Zach, who formerly were a part of the Pro Wrestling Off Topic podcast, which is now defunct, but I still work with Josh on the wrestling show. For those that might not have seen it, definitely check out Reawakening. You'll definitely know who Josh is. He's basically the guy who I have designated as a ref, and he is absolutely entertaining and really good in the ring. So, Rebellion itself was one of those shows that I hadn't seen Impact show since, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember what was even the last Impact show I saw, because I remember I saw one with Josh a little while back, because we did see Bound for Glory, but maybe that was the last show. I thought we saw one other show other than that. Huh. Oh no, wait, we did predictions for one of the shows. That's right. Rebellion's show from top to bottom looks like a pretty good card. Kicking off with that triple threat match for the X Division title, which we saw Ace Austin, Josh Alexander, and TJP. Really helped, set the mood for the beginning of the night, and delivered with a well-deserved win by Josh Alexander. Guy, it's one of those things where I'm like, not since Doug Williams have we had such a technical X Division champion, and I dare anybody to fight me on that. Doug Williams was an amazing X Division champion. He didn't need to do any high-flying deals. He just needed to be a great wrestler, and he was. And so is Joshua Alexander. Then we had Matt Cardona, Brian Myers. It's one of those matches where I get the idea of like the hype that they had for it. It's, these two guys who are kind of like brothers. They were tag team partners and blah, blah, blah. This is where they kind of, finally collide and blah, blah, blah. And I think it's one of those things where, this was the first match that they had together, especially on a big time pay-per-view. And it was a good matchup. They had a moment where Matt literally looked like he might have exploded his knee, because he may have leaped a little too high, and then when he came down, he landed awkwardly on one of his legs. Oof. So that was one of those things like, ooh, that's not good. Brian Myers, being the dick that he is, beat him down and then pinned him 1-2-3 to pick up the win. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, Brian Myers is okay anyway. Not a knock on Brian Myers. Brian Myers, met the guy. He's cool. I think it was just kind of one of those matches where it was kind of a take it or leave it kind of matchup, but it is what it is. Then they had a 8-man tag? Yeah, it had to have been an 8-man tag because I think it was Willie Mack, Eddie Edwards. Oh, God, I'm going to pull up the card here because I feel like I'm going to miss somebody in this entire
Was that the one that Big Cass came in?
Yes, it was. And my God,
yeah.
that was...
He's yoked, man. He looks good. I just have I put the show back on mute here. I got Josh Alexander coming to the ring right now. How good was the North? Like, did you watch much of their title reign?
Oh, yeah.
Or were you kind of like on again, off again with Impact?
I was an on again, off again deal, but Josh Alexander and Ethan Page are definitely one of the best teams. That TNA, yes, I still call it TNA because I refuse to call it anything else besides, refuse to call it Impact Wrestling. Josh Alexander and Ethan Page were definitely one of the best teams. Their feud with LAX was great. I loved that they had their match with Motor City Machine Guns, which saw their title run end, but at the same time, it's Motor City Machine Guns who are freaking amazing in the ring. I loved it. I thought that this was one of those moments where it's like, I didn't really know what to expect from Josh Alexander, but he killed it. He definitely did a great job. But here's
Canadian strong style. Canadian strong style is what he is. I see Ace Austin here, and that's the Fulton who was in Sanity for like a heartbeat, right?
Yep, Madman Fulton.
Holy crap.
Okay, so the matchup was Violent by Design's Diener, Joe Daring, and Rhino with W. Morrissey. Yes, that's his new name.
W. Morrissey, because I think like Morrissey is his shoot last name.
Yeah. And it was Chris Sabin, Eddie Edwards, James Storm, and Willie Mack. Which, in all honesty, James Storm is still amazing. Love seeing the guy. This was another really good matchup. Also, I don't know if it's something that where Willie is just not getting that much sleep or what's going on. His eyes were like really bloodshot red. I honestly thought, does he have like contacts in or something like that? But then as soon as we see him later on, it's like, oh no, I think those are literally his eyes or something like that. So I'm not trying to knock on him. It's just one of those things where it's like, something seems off about Willie Mack. I remember him in Lucha Underground, and I remember seeing him early on. Something just seems a little bit weird. But Morrissey picked up the victory for his team with the East Side River Crossing. That was awesome. Great matchup.
Oh, that's a deep cut. That's a deep cut. I remember that move.
We have Fire and Flava, Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steeles taking on Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellering for the Impact Knockouts titles. This was a matchup that was okay. It was passable. I did not enjoy the finish, which saw Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellering pick up the titles. I think they could have done a little bit more. And I pitched the idea. This is where fantasy booking's coming in. I said at the beginning of the match, it's like, wouldn't it kind of be crazy if, Jazz just turned on Grace and Ellering and just sided with Fire and Flava?
Yes.
To which a lot of people were like, that would have been awesome. And for me, it's just one of those things where I would just love Jazz to just team up with them just so you can hear the catchphrase of, the bitch is back and the bitch is black. I want to hear that again. I really do.
Oh, that's rich. That's perfect.
I just want to see that and hear that again.
I saw Jazz wrestle live once, I think.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there was. I've told you about this before, but it was the same night. It was Pride of Oshawa, Ontario, Test and Scott Steiner, main events.
Oh, that's right.
I'm not joking. Main events. It was like Jazz, Trish Stratus, and Molly, maybe Jackie. It was like a 4-way match or something. I don't... my memory of that show is very fuzzy, but it's that and the big faux pas of La Resistance getting the Finnish national anthem as an entrance theme is what I remember.
Yay! We had Trey Miguel.
And Maven.
Oh, Maven. Bro. We had Trey Miguel taking on Sami Callihan, last man standing matchup. This was where it started picking up again because these guys, they killed each other for it. Trey Miguel picked up the victory. I'm not going to tell you how because honestly, it's one of the best finishes of the entire matchup. It's awesome. It is a really good match. I would definitely say it's like second best match on the card. We have the tag team title matchup for the Impact World Tag Team titles as the Good Brothers take on Finn Juice. This was one of those tag matches where I compare it to Team 3D versus the James Gang when they first fought at Sacrifice years ago. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, it's the rematch that everybody's been talking about, everybody's going to want to see. And that something just felt missing in this matchup. It was another good passable matchup, but I feel like something was missing with it. That's the only complaint I really had about that. Then we go into...
It was missing an electrified cage.
Probably. Either that or the little nice explosions in a death match like they did with Moxie and Omega.
Oh.
I know. This fire still burns.
That went over like a fart in church.
Speaking of a fart in church, the Impact Knockouts Championship. Oh, dear Lord. Deanna Purrazzo.
Hang on. Are we dissing Deanna?
No, I was just about to get to that. I'm not dissing Deanna. She was great. I thought she was really awesome. I just think that she could have done better than Tenille Dashwood's. I'm sorry. I loved it when Tenille was Emma. And when Emma, had that first kind of revitalization, I enjoyed that as well. But then when she went on to be Tenille Dashwood, it felt like something was missing. I still feel like something's missing when it comes to her. And essentially, this is heel versus heel. So it already feels like something else is missing to it. But yeah, Deanna Purrazzo picked up the victory. I'm just going to say that. I'm not going to harbinger that long in the matchup. Main event, winner takes all, Impact World Title and the AEW World Title and the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, because nobody wants to point that out. I will, damn it, because that is still one of the most prestigious championships ever. Kenny Omega, Rich Swann, killed it. I mean, literally, Kenny Omega almost killed Swann. I'm not even going to spoil too much of it. I'm just going to say that. There's so many moments where you're like, how's Rich Swann even still alive? But Kenny Omega picked up the victory. The belt collecting has begun. And I love it. I liked it. Like I said, other than other matches, the triple threat, the last man standing match, and the winner takes all match, those are the highlights of the show. They definitely do make an impact, pun intended, and they definitely do make the show more interesting. Also, I want to say this, that we're probably going to bleed into this is going to bleed into a lot of different conversations. I think this is going to be an interesting way to kind of end the show. So WWE decided to release a lot of people over the last couple of weeks. One of which I've already talked about, and I brought back Discriminate, because why not? Because I was pissed. That was my one. I had to spew that venom out before I went into Water City Wrestling Con. Like I said, I just had to get it out so that way I can just think positive for the rest of the day. And it worked. Now they had a different set of releases that happened, in which a couple of them showed up on the Slammiversary package, such as The Hot Mess, Samoa Joe, Mickie James, and quite a few others, ladies and gentlemen. I am very much looking forward to seeing what happens. If we get Samoa Joe back in Impact Wrestling, I'm okay with that. Laurel Van Ness in Impact, I'm okay with that. If we get Mickie James back in Impact, I will take that. I want Hardcore Country. I want that back again.
Isn't she dead in TNA kayfabe, like James Storm pushed her in front of a train?
That was, I think, what was supposed to happen, but no, I think they made it seem like, oh, somebody saved her and blah, 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 something like that. They didn't go like...
Wizard did it.
They didn't have, like, the Broken Matt Hardy universe at that time, so cinematic matches weren't really a big-time thing.
All right, yeah. Good one there. But one thing that really intrigued me in there was the Hot Mess. Aside from obviously Joe, I'm going to get there. But, yeah, I wasn't watching Impact around the time the Hot Mess was the thing, but it was only through OSW Review who was in the midst of their Black Rain storyline in their things. They're going through Black Rain, which of course is Goldust in TNA when he was on all the drugs. If you want to get blocked by Dustin Rhodes on social media, bring up Black Rain, but don't. I mean, I have his book right over here, and that chapter was rough. That section of his life was. Look at him at 50. I just turned 37, and I want to look half that good at my age. You know, I got to drop a few pounds again, but holy smokes! It was Bound for Glory 2017. They reviewed it. Actually took place in Ottawa, Ontario. You know, I'm like not far. Wait a minute! Holy crap! I'm in like southeastern Ontario, whatever. Ontario. It's like a 10-hour drive from my place to Ottawa, so it was quite a ways away. I knew someone who went there, and it was actually a pretty good show. Like Petey Williams had a match with Cameron Grimes for the X Division title, and it was pretty damn good. But yeah, Laurel Van Ness was there with the makeup smeared and the dress, and yeah, it's cool. But Joe, if I could break out the fantasy book here a little bit, so. We got Mr. Kenny, who's in the midst of his belt collecting. And I just want to imagine for just a second, it's no way on God's green earth this would ever go down. But just imagine if this forbidden door opens. That Chris Jericho already did on the network if you saw the Broken Skull sessions. It was really good. Yes, he talked about AEW in that one. And he spoke candidly about why he left. It was very, very weird. It was good. Dear God, if Kenny Omega targets the head of the table, just imagine. But I wanted Joe to also both target the head of the table and, like Jey Uso, fall in line, and we get kind of a main event mafia bloodline with the whole family. They're not related, but just they could pull something off here.
The symbolism.
Speaking of the main event mafia, there was also a recently released man from WWE in Kurt Angle.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get. Who else was in there? Was it Sting? Was Sting in there?
For as far as releases go, I mean, well, Sting is a part of AEW now, so of course he had.
No. Main event mafia. Main
event mafia. Yeah.
Okay. So, you get a tease here. I have an open challenge. You hear whatever Main Event Mafia's music is, like on the Mama Luke's theme or something. You see the suit. Critical comes out in a suit, but no, Swerve. It's the next person. No, finally, Joe. Imagine if it's Samoa Joe versus Kenny Omega at Bound for Glory. The Slammiversary takes place in July. The date for that show is not solidified yet.
And that is true.
And I think that's on purpose because a lot of 90-day no-competes expire in July. Much like last year when TNA kind of trolled the fans a little bit and showed people like EC3 and the Good Brothers. Actually, by the way, get well soon, EC3. I mean, he's in the hospital right now. If you saw his post on Instagram, he's got some kind of infection. I don't know. He didn't divulge what it is. I mean, quite frankly, it's none of our business, but Godspeed, get well soon, EC3. Holy crap, that looked bad. But they just know how to twist the knife a little bit, that Impact does. And one thing that I have to criticize AEW for is they're not really plugging this relationship that they have. Like, you know, they don't mention the fact that their world champion, Kenny Omega, was in a world championship match defending their title in Impact. I mean, they could have plugged that a little bit more, but I think that could also be something to do with this much better Invasion angle. I'm reviewing that, but we'll get to that when we go to my plugs. But yeah, Samoa Joe would be the one to slowly peel away the collection from Kenny, because I think by the end of the year we'll start to see that chipped away just a little bit. There's only one man that I want to see take the AEW World title off of Omega, and I think it's someone that you're going to agree with me on, and that's Hangman Adam Page.
I was going to go with Jungle Boy, but yeah, no, Hangman Adam Page would be a great one to pick.
I want Jungle Boy to be like the TNT champion. Like, not right away. I think the next one's going to be like Brian Cage or Ricky Starks, but then Jungle Boy can take that, because Jungle Boy, MJF, Sammy Guevara, all those dudes, future world champions. Darby Allin, future world champion. The future is bright on that, despite the fact that I may criticize the company a little bit. I still kind of enjoy AEW.
No, definitely do agree with that. There are some things to criticize about every wrestling promotion, some more than others, just saying. But, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, there's some people that just need to learn from their mistakes and kind of move on, which, let's talk a little bit about WWE's skeletons that are going in the closet right now, one of which involves people who have been released, and instead of getting, their stuff in just a nice, neatly orderly bunch, they get their stuff put in a trash bag.
Oh, Mark Carano.
Oh, jeez. This dude. One of the things that I think it was Solid Monster that I listened to, and he brought this up, that this was something that had to go even pre-Carano, because people have been coming out and stating the fact that they've been having this kind of same treatment too. So there's obviously somebody in the back that has definitely been very much hateful towards the women in WWE, and definitely have really made them feel inadequate. And I think that right now WWE is finding themselves in more hot water than what they are right now. It just feels like they're just slowly cranking that deal right now, and they're just literally going to be talking like Halloween. Which one was it? Was it Halloween 1 or Halloween 2? I think it was Halloween 1. Halloween 2, where Michael Myers literally just takes the girl's head, puts it in the hot tub, and just does this repeatedly until her face is all meshed up. It's a creepy thing, but also I've been watching the Halloween movies again, and I'm enjoying them. I've just been kind of enjoying them. Michael Myers might be one of my new favorites. But that feels like what's kind of going on right now, is that they're in the hot water where literally skin is definitely starting to really disintegrate at this point, and we're seeing bits and pieces of that skeleton coming out. I just wish that they would take ownership of the dumb things that they did and try to make amends to it. But obviously they're not, because all this stuff is still happening. We've listened to CM Punk's interview, where he was one of those guys who was working very hard and he was not feeling well. And there was a lot of people backstage that were saying, oh, we know that you've had surgery, but we're still going to have you wrestle anyway. It's like, why? Are you trying to kill the dude? Are you trying to make sure that he can't compete again? Stuff that's going on with creative. And it was definitely divulged in the Jon Moxley interview, where it feels like you're just taking a character that could be great and you're just making him into something that's going to be laughable. Well, it's because we're about entertainment. You could be entertaining in different ways, not just towards the kid demographic. Not little Johnny isn't always going to want to watch wrestling. Let them watch their cartoons. Let them do that stuff. Just appeal to a demographic where it's going to be relatable. Well, are you saying that this is not relatable? No. I'm saying that having a married couple have I can't even say mistress. What is it? Lover on the side is not something that people want to see. But it's something they do in soap operas. Let them do that in soap operas then. I don't care about that. Let the soap opera stuff stay in there. We don't need to see that kind of stuff. We did not need to see Lana and Rusev break up just for the shock value that it's Bobby Lashley, which led to nowhere, by the way. Poor Miro. He didn't deserve that. I would say poor Lana, but she went to the table like 40 times over the last year. So it's like, I feel more sorry about that point than her going through that storyline.
Yeah, in some cases, I can see that maybe in a way they've become what they've hated. You know, I've been looking back on some old school stuff here, and they've always, when they had competition, you know, WWE always tried to push the envelope, tried to do something different, tried to change up. And for that 20-odd period of time where they wouldn't have any competition on, like, okay, I don't consider a YouTube show competition on a Monday night, like AEW Dark Elevation. I haven't watched. I'll probably never watch it. I don't watch Dark. So it's the fact that they now have something competing with them there. I mean, Vince, like, he's like, okay, Chris Jericho, AEW on Stone Cold's, whatever. Okay, sure, fine, go for it. And it's really strange. I mean, yeah, it's thankful that Mark Carrano got canned, but the fact that this stuff was happening was terrible. I mean, let's just say you're working at, you worked at what, a theater, Walmart, that kind of deal,
mm-hmm.
and hypothetically you're let go. You probably have a locker in the break room. What do you gather? You gather your stuff yourself and put it in I'd probably put it in a bin. If I can't find a box, I'd put it in a bin. But that's not besides the point. But the fact that it was using a bin and not like a nice FedEx package with everything in there nice and neat, he just whipped it and crumpled it into this thing. It just so disrespectful. And you know, I'm not turning this into anti-WWE porn. I'm not canceling the network because I just, thank God that I got something working up here, because Peacock is a fucking nightmare to navigate. I had what are those things called? The VPNs for a little bit of time. Don't waste your money on VPNs, kids, by the way. They're a waste of money. They're bullshit. They don't work right. So for a bit, I was using that to navigate Peacock, and I couldn't find a damn thing. I mean, it has a lot of great shows that Canadian Netflix already has. Parks and Rec, we have it. Office, we have it. So Peacock can go suck my Peacock. But just the level of disrespect out of taking, for one thing, a long-standing employee, like Mickey James was in the company on and off for like 16-odd years. And you treat a woman like that. You treat anyone like that, just throw it in a bin, like throw it in a bag. Like Maria Kanellis got the same treatment. Friggin', what's the chick's name that had the mole and the singing gag? Jillian got the same treatment, but that wasn't all Mark Carrano. But, I respect Stephanie McMahon for reaching out and making an apology about this and saying, hey, this is not right. They admitted it. Okay, good. You apologized, but now you got to move on, learn from this mistake, and not do this the next time you release someone, unless it's someone that deserves it. And I'm just going to say this here, like, when these releases happen, it's like, oh, what about Velveteen Dream? I always stop to think that maybe he was quietly released. Maybe he's already gone. We just don't know about it, because not everyone gets the publicly wish you the best in your future endeavors. For Dream, it's more like, thank you, fuck you, bye. Maybe without the thank you, because Velveteen Dream's a piece of shit. Allegedly. And we were like, oh, what about Jordan Devlin? I don't know his thing. And then like, oh, what about Jackson Riker? Jackson Riker sent out a poorly timed tweet.
Right.
I mean, and you don't fire someone for being a Republican. I mean, I may not like the person that was heading the Republican Party in the last election, who was the last president, but am I going to speak ill of someone or think less of them just because of who they vote for? Hell no. But if you're going to poorly say shit like that during a monumental time in American history, when you could have kept your mouth shut, Riker, yes, but are you worth firing for that? No. Oh, what about this person? What about that person? Well, they're there. So, yeah. And then they pull the political game. Oh, it's because Vince likes Trump. Just stop. If you want to say that shit, just drop it, please. Everyone has skeletons in their closet, WWE included. We saw this week, but man, it really, really sucks. And yeah, screw Velveteen Dream.
Yeah, no, I can definitely full-heartedly agree with that. And it is kind of one of those things where I think even some people might even ask, like, well, what about Matt Riddle? It's like, Riddle's already kind of cleared his name up. He was one of the few guys who literally went out and said, I know this person, but we did nothing. It's one of those things where, obviously there's two sides to every story, but obviously he's still working there. Obviously he's still one of the I guess, quote-unquote, head guys that are right there. But, obviously, if he was that big of a sleazebag, he wouldn't be at the position that he's at right now. Although he's probably off, recuperating and taking care of his lip because of that awesome kick that Sheamus gave him. But that's beside the point.
Yeah, it's just a mess. And every time these releases come around, it's sad. And what can you do but press on? I mean, I look forward to seeing what's going to happen with Joe. But, on WWE, I'll give WWE TV credit now. I mean, Cesaro and Roman Reigns is a very intriguing matchup. I'll give it that. Raw might be a bit of a dumpster fire right now. I haven't watched Raw since the night after Mania. So, I mean, if we weren't recording, I probably would just be watching it with something else going on in the background. But still,
I mean, you can technically
Monday Night Chores. Shout out to the Monday Night Chores podcast. That's what Raw can be a little bit now. And it was such a culture shock going from fans back to the Thunderdome. It was just such a nice treat. Even Vince opening the show, doing "Welcome to WrestleMania," and then WrestleMania starts with rain delay.
Well,
yay! Making us wait just a little bit more. God's finally getting his heat back from Backlash 2006.
It only took about 16 years, but we're finally getting it.
They, as they say, in God's timing.
Oh man, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, there's only so much that people can take. High threshold and high tolerance is something that God can definitely take. Then there just comes a point where he'd probably just be like, okay, now we're even.
Perfect.
I mean, the fact that that they also almost got rained out was definitely one of those things where it's like, oh, yeah, Vince, didn't count on that, did you? It's just one of those things where I would just be standing there looking up to the heavens, and Vince will be like, "What are you looking at, pal?" It's like, nothing. I'm just amazed that this weather just came out of nowhere. It's like if it was an act from, don't say it. I'm on bad terms with him. You don't say.
Like an RKO, the storm came out of nowhere, and the off the cuff promos that they managed to cut, just man, they didn't have a script and they nailed it. Huh? Neat. Weird, eh?
Right.
And you can't find that on the network now. They completely cut that off. So if you want to watch the half-hour rain delay promos, you're going to have to download a BitTorrent.
Man. Oh, well. But, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're wrapping up this edition of the Game Changer podcast. But before we do, it's time to do some shameless, cheap plugs. Mr. Fretz, where can people find you? How can they interact with you? And what are some of the crazy stuff and wild things that you got going on in the future?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Fretzlemania. That's Fretzle Mania. You can find me every Fridays, just as of last week, on Wrestle Addict Radio, reviewing Monday Night Raws from 2001 each week. I'm just about to hit the beginning of the Invasion angle, and one cool thing that I've noticed when I've been uploading is that the date that I release my podcast is the same date 20 years ago for Raw. So this week will be April 30th, and it's Raw from April 30th.
Oh, nice.
I'll also be talking a little bit about other goings-on in wrestling at the time. I decided to focus solely on retro content, just so on Wrestle Addict Radio, just so everything stands out, because we have, Zach, the Young Lions perspective, does things like news of the week. He was doing last week, this week, when NXT and AEW were head-to-head. Now that they're on separate nights again, he'll be cooking something else up in regards to that. I forget what it is, but it's coming. Kings of the Rings, they do a lot of modern wrestling with their twists on it, because those individual people in that show are hilarious. And just recently returning is Mance. He took a bit of a hiatus.
Yay.
With his father passed away earlier this year, so he took a hiatus, and he just came back, and he's just been talking a little bit about I think AEW and some other stuff. So it's been great to have him back as well. So Fridays on Wrestle Addict Radio. I also do shows on Wrestle Addict Radio Patreon that coincide with my 20-year Raw reviews, where I review the pay-per-views. I just released Backlash 2001, but the 20 Bell Salute is not just the wrestling pay-per-views from each month in 01. Oh no, it is the pop culture. So to give you a sneak preview of the 20 Bell Salute for April 2001, I talked about Bridget Jones's Diary. I talked about Freddy Got Fingered, that terrible Tom Green movie, the worst movie of one of the worst movies of all time. Battlefield Earth, I think, still might take that crown. I talked about that in a previous 20 Bell Salute as well. And I'm going to try and get some more Fretz's Fave 5s up on Patreon. I haven't been uploading too much since, because I'm working 6 days a week at my job. I'm really busy. And there's that. So the Wrestle Addict Radio Patreon's $5 a month. You get exclusive shows such as those. Some of the ones that you might remember, like Love and War, I think they're making a comeback. It's just a matter of finding the time to do stuff and do that. And Wrestle Addict Radio, the cure for the common wrestling podcast, as good brother Nate here knows. And that's it on my side. What about Nate? Where can we find this lovely man from Wisconsin?
Honestly, guys, you can find me on so many different podcasting formats, including Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, you name it, pretty much there. Been available also on Anchor's podcasts as well. I'm definitely going to be trying to do some more uploads on that throughout the weeks, especially on my days off. I'm going to start getting back into the deal for that. Might even bring in some classic interviews that I've done in the past, because, geez, talk about retro. That's a lot of good stuff there. But if you want to interact with me, you can always follow me on Twitter at RealFNGame, as well as on my Instagram. And be sure to also check out the merch. Wearing some right now for Ministry of Greatness, which I am doing something wonderful with a little YouTube channel called The Wrestling Show, which is produced by the lovely couple of Matt and Kate Jones. Definitely check that out. Definitely help them get to that major spot. And I'm also working with Notebook Entertainment, which is another one that is absolutely just hilarious to enjoy and work with. We recently did a 420 episode, which was kind of along the same lines of Drunk History. So definitely check that out, you guys. It's very funny. It's very entertaining. There's going to be so much going on for this, working with Wrestling Show this summer. I'm in the process of creating a big show for June. Can't really go into too many details about it, but the wheels are kind of rolling right now. So definitely, hopefully, you'll get an announcement about it within, I'm hoping, the next week or two, because it's something that is going to be absolutely gorgeous, ladies and gentlemen. So, Mr. Fretz, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for doing this, man. It's always an honor, a privilege, and just always great talking to you again, man.
Totally, man. It's great to catch up, and we'll have to do this every little once in a while.
Oh,
and
definitely.
Maybe not just for a pay-per-view, maybe just to shoot the shit and talk about other wrestling and other TV shows, because I wanted to bring up Mighty Ducks Game Changers, A, because it has the title of our show here, and B, to get the lawyers for that, and C, because I freaking love hockey, but then again, time. And the NHL playoffs are about to start, so my Maple Leafs, who will probably let me down again, are going to be there, so,
Oh, man. I'll tell you this right now. Between Game Changers and effing, I've had a lot of people that I've said, hey, where's my royalties? Come on, bring it over. So maybe there's some small consideration where I might just have to start doing that now. Maybe I'll just be like, hey, you want to say effing? Give me a dime. Call it good. Get my royalties for that. But for Mr. Fretz from Wrestle Addict Radio, I've been NateFNGreat. Thank you guys so much for listening in. Talk to you guys in the next episode. Remember, stay positive, stay healthy, stay safe out there, you guys. And remember, you can make a difference by being a game changer one day at a time. Sometimes it only takes one moment. Bye-bye.